Hello and welcome to a Warframe video. In this video I wanted to share one of my favorite Nidus builds, which I've been having really fun playing with. Now this build was partially inspired from the build that Tactical Potato uses, which is the Spagetti build. Um Obviously if you want to check his Spagetti build, then feel free to do so. And I simply added a little bit of my own things to suit my desires. So to the mod setup, now when it comes to aura, you can pretty much choose whatever aura you want. I chose Energy Siphon because I like the idea of when I'm not using my powers, I gain energy, even if I do get energy when I'm being shot to my health because of Hunter Adrenaline. And I do have as much range as I can. I am using Cunning Drift and Stretch together. I could have used Overextended, but I do lose a lot of power, and I want that power because I want that extra damage, because I'm using Lava Burst. Now, Vitality and Steel Fiber is of course still a thing for survivability, because I want to be able to survive. Prime Flow and Streamline just for that power efficiency and that extra power, well, to have loads of power to work with. Yeah, so Power Drift is also for that extra power. Now, Nidus does have an innate power strength when you start, when you level him up to maximum, so he has that extra power, which is good. And Lava Burst, which is the whole point why I actually made this build. The idea is to drag on enemies with larva from a distance, put them together, then use Lava Burst to explode them and deal damage, and then finish them off with a Virulence attack. That's Nidus' first power. Now, Lava Burst does actually, the damage that Lava Burst actually does, it does stack the more enemies you have in the group. So the more groups you pull together, the more damage your Lava Burst will do, which is obviously the aim of the whole build. So obviously, feel free to customize the. Obviously, if you want to use an overextended, feel free to use so, or more power or so, and yeah, feel free to customize the build the way you want. Now, when I was running with Nidus, I do love running with the hammer as my primary weapon. I love it because of its ability to leech health, and well, when you reload, it costs health, but Nidus regenerates his health so quickly that it kind of counters that, which is amazing. And I can't wait for the buff for hammer to remove the ammo capacity completely from the hammer and actually make it so that you only need the health to upgrade it, which would be awesome. Now my basic stats with the hammer is merely just a static increase. It's just your basic stat damages. And when it comes to melee, I also have the Mias for melee, built for condition overload, which of course is the best for builds apparently, with a little life strike just in case I need that extra life, although I kind of think that I didn't really have life strike. Like for higher difficulties, life strike does become handy, because if you need a health in a hurry, then boom, you just use it and instantly you have health. So yeah, so this is the build. The secondary can be anything. You can do whatever, you can choose whatever secondary, and obviously if you want to choose, I was choosing Carrier Prime just for having a supply of ammunition for the hammer. But if you want to choose the Helmet Charger, the pet, feel free to do so. The infested pet that actually works very nicely alongside as well with Nidus, adding that damage, and the pet will also heal you as well every time he deals damage. If you have, I think, health, one of the hunter mods, which gives you, it links life steal link or something like that, and that's actually very effective. Yeah, so this is the build that I would normally run with when I'm using Nidus. I've been actually having some real fun because it's actually it doesn't sacrifice anything for being something good, from being good at something else. It actually has a very good balance of everything. So you have a decent amount of range to pull things with your Spagetti. Then use Lava Burst to, once you've pulled them all together, you burst. The more enemies you have in the larva, the more damage you'll deal, which is awesome. And whatever doesn't die, you use your Virulence to just kill them all. And this, of course, increases. Now, the high health and the armor, of course, increases your survivability. So I can, I have a decent amount of health and a decent amount of armor to survive. And this will actually do. It actually works very well on the long shot, or basically specifically in just endless missions. It actually works to have a decent survivability. So yeah, it actually doesn't sacrifice anything. It doesn't sacrifice my health or anything for the damage or the range. It basically is a very nice balance between everything. Um, to provide just enough to be useful, but not enough to be, to be weak in a specific factor. The only downside I guess if you consider it a downside, is something that you could do, which is sacrifice the primed flow for a prime continuity if you want to increase the what's it called? Nidus's fourth. I keep forgetting what it's called. Why did I forget that? Anyways, so yeah, if you want to use Nidus's fourth and have it have a higher duration, you can do that simply by using prime continuity instead of primed flow, because since you're gaining so much energy just from being shot at or taking damage. So if you know that you're going to be taking a lot of damage, then sacrificing prime flow for prime continuity to increase that Nidus's fourth power will be great. I can't believe I actually forgot what it's called. I couldn't be bothered to actually check. And yeah, it actually works out very nicely. I'm using the hammer to deal damage to enemies who are out of reach. In this particular game mode, I'm doing a void, what's it called? A void fissure. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So I'm doing a void fissure, and I'm doing a defense. I mean, you would recognize this defense. It's not really on a COD, but it's a similar location. Most of the defenses in Ares is pretty much this specific location. For whatever reason, there's no variety. It's just that one special location. This specific location for pretty much all the defense missions for whatever reason. And but anyways, yeah, this is the defense mission I was in, and I was using the build, and it was actually very effective. And it was actually pretty it gets pretty chaotic, which is the whole point, which is awesome. And so in this mission, I was up against Infested, and obviously I love using Nidus against the Infested. I think it's a pretty good combo. It's a very good counter against them, and you literally just gather them because they do tend to swarm. That's actually you use their advantage against them basically thanks to the larva burst and larva itself. You can actually use the infested the infested's advantage to swarm against you and overwhelm you with numbers against them by banding them together and dealing that huge amount of damage, which is awesome. And obviously, I was basically clearing out any the priority is always the ancients, so I would basically puddle them together and explode them. But if I see an ancient or an Eximus or anything, I would make a priority for them, and I would kill them, because that actually the ancients will actually reduce your damage since they do heal and buff their allies. So it's actually very useful to deal with them. Also, the Hema will gives you that range as well. I mean, you do have virulence for that range, but I guess the Hema does come in handy. Plus, its viral damage does come in handy because it actually reduces enemies' max health. So even if you don't kill them with the Hema, you can still deal viral damage on them. And because I have a very decent high status chance, I do deal the viral damage almost indefinitely. And yeah, I mean, as long as also if my aiming is a little bit better, if you have a good aiming, you can basically aim straight for the head with the hammer, and of course you also gain health, so you don't lose any health while you're basically trying to pick up one single enemy. And of course there is also Nidus's Link, which I actually didn't really use. I didn't really need it at that point, which will of course convert Nidus's all the damage that Nidus takes. It'll be converted to that enemy who you link with. But yeah, the build isn't specifically for all survival. It's not built to make me a tank or anything. It's simply made to group up enemies together and then explode them and then finish them up with virulence, building up your stacks and dealing more damage and more and more and more. And yeah, you definitely want to try to aim larva at the highest groups to deal the most damage out of it. And I think this is actually a really fun build that I actually have been using, and it's actually uh, like useful and effective. So I do like Nidus as a frame in general. He's like the very first infested frame that we had, even though I guess Chroma and Mesa also come kind of close to being infested Warframes because that's basically where you get them from in a way. Um, but yeah, this I do like Nidus, and I would love to have like a really cool deluxe skin that makes him look like an actual like monster and not like I don't know what he looks like. He kind of looks like an infested Frankenstein with heels. Like what? I don't really know anything about that, but that's basically what he looks like. Even though I do like the horns that he gains when he like is at maxed out or at least at 10 infested stacks. Like he actually gains those little horns. His body like opens up and the like the forward of his head looks like a horn, look like horns, and I kind of like that. It actually looks like kind of menacing, and I do like that about him. I did see one of the skins that the developers showed that were made by a fan person. They were a fan made from a person, and that looked amazing. That actually looked legit amazing. Um, I really hope that they actually turn that into a deluxe skin because I would definitely get my hands on that if I could. And yeah, so this is just a video that I wanted to share about Nidus, about his build, and about the build that I'm using with him, which I found to be the most interesting and the most fun to use. And yeah, I hope you actually do enjoy the build. I hope you actually found it useful. Like I said, the build was partially inspired from another person. I haven't seen any other virulence, any Larva Burst builds because I wanted to make my own builds for Larva Burst by using whatever I had with Nidus and just exploding what I thought would be very cool with Nidus. Obviously, having like the max range would be the best option, but I don't want to sacrifice too much strength because I do want to deal that damage. So yeah, this is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you try Nidus for yourselves and try a variety of builds because he is really fun to play with. Thanks for watching. Stay cool, and I'll see you later. Bye.